Hello, I'm Slimeface, a non-binary. Maybe you didn't know that about me. I talked about it in one video that looked like it was gonna be about a cartoon, but then got weirdly emotional at the end, because I can't do anything normal. Then I didn't talk about it for like a month, which felt pretty natural to me. I mean, before that point, I didn't really talk about it for 33 years, so it just seemed like the normal thing to do. To be honest, I don't really like talking about it. Like, it kind of makes me feel vulnerable and exposed. I'm barely comfortable living it. And sometimes that even feels like it's just hanging on by a thread. And it's not that people didn't support me. People supported the ever-loving crap out of me. And it pissed me off. I spill my guts to you people. I make myself vulnerable, and what do I get in return? You're valid. Oh, am I? I'm so glad you approve. Here I was thinking that my emotions were enough, but I'm so glad to hear that I meet your standards. Which is just such an unfair emotional reaction, I know, but I mean, people were supporting me. They were being nice, but still, I'm valid. That's great. Hey, what would it mean if I weren't valid? Would you break into my bedroom and confiscate all my makeup? Surely, if validity means anything, that means some people aren't valid. So what did I do to become valid? What happens to me if I stop doing that? Like, if I'm to value validity, should I seek it out? Should I try to convince people who don't think I'm valid? Am I just valid because people grant me validity? What happens if they stop? Does my validity go away? Does that mean my feelings just don't matter anymore? And I'm not willing to give anyone that power. I questioned my gender identity for years because I kept trying to convince myself I needed to fit into someone else's idea of what a valid gender presentation looked like. And I didn't start healing until I let go of that, until I stopped caring about whether or not I lived up to someone else's ideals and started living up to mine. Other people don't get to decide my identity. I do. It belongs to me. And a weird, unintended side effect of that was that it made me upset when people supported me. Because I knew how to react if people didn't support me. I knew how to react if they were indifferent or actively hostile. But if people start supporting you, if people start giving you what you want, what do you do then? Every gesture of support made me feel like I was trying to live up to a standard that I didn't feel I should have to. And just, side note, I'm aware that that's a completely fucked up and inappropriate response to have. Please don't mistake my honesty for a lack of self-reflection. It was a solipsistic reaction to a situation that I really don't have as much stake in as a lot of other people. My experience is largely the exception. I am comfortable, most of the time, presenting as my assigned gender. And I consider any other presentation as just a fun little bonus. Like a little extra gender that I get to have on the side. Think of my assigned gender as like a steak, and any other presentation as like little mashed potatoes. I don't know why I put that analogy there. You probably understood what I meant without that analogy. Other people don't have that luxury, and knowing that they're accepted by their peers can literally be the difference between life and death. I understand that. I mean, I understand it as much as I can. But it's so isolating when the only gesture of support people know how to give you is the same thing that erodes the only defense mechanism you have to hold back a tidal wave of self-doubt. My whole life, I trained myself to not give a shit what other people thought because I just assumed they wouldn't accept me. But what happens when they do? What happens when I start to like it? What happens when I get a little dopamine rush every time someone tells me I'm valid? And what happens after that if they take that away? I would be completely defenseless. And that's when it dawned on me that I'm not as secure as I might have thought I was. That maybe I thought I was secure as a non-binary person, but I was actually just secure as a closeted non-binary person. My security was contingent on me never having to discuss my feelings or really think about them too much. I mean, you saw the video, you saw how upset I got. That was the 5th take. It was the only take where I wasn't crying. And the other takes were bad. I didn't just throw them away because I was crying. I have no trouble crying on YouTube. I cry all the time. I'm gonna cry later tonight. I might cry tomorrow. Probably not going to cry on Thursday, but I'll probably cry on Friday. So I made this thing that made me feel vulnerable, and I put it out in the world, thinking that I was going to be attacked or insulted or put down, but instead, everybody was super chill about it, and everybody was really supportive, and I got a bunch of new patrons, and all I could think to myself was, I'm a fraud. I got everybody to care about something, but what if I'm wrong? What if my feelings don't matter? Everybody keeps telling me I'm valid, but I don't know if I am. What do I do if they find out? And I got myself so twisted up in this situation that genuine support started to look to me like gatekeeping. Basically, my brain is fucked up with bad ideas. What do I do? Hey, fuck for brains. Be nice to yourself, you piece of shit. I got an idea. Why don't you try some compassionate self-dialogue, you piece of garbage? You absolute moron. You fat idiot. I went to Catholic school. Surprise, surprise. I understand the value of criticizing oneself. I understand the value of holding oneself to a high standard. But criticizing oneself after a point stops becoming critique, starts becoming abuse. Self-abuse. Wait, self-abuse means masturbation. It might seem like I'm about to launch into some self-help nonsense, and I am not. Believe me, I have nothing but contempt for the self-help industry. They are misery parasites. They exist solely to exploit mental illness, and they are the worst type of human being. Hashtag fuck self-help. And besides, I'm not telling you this so that you can help yourself, because you already know that being nice to yourself would make your life easier. You don't need me to tell you that. What I do want to tell you, and what you might not have considered, is being cruel to yourself is actually immoral. Imagine for a moment I had a friend come to me and tell me that they were questioning their gender. And I said to them, I don't know, maybe you're a fraud. I don't know if I really trust your feelings. That would make me a big old piece of shit. Can we all agree that if I did that, I would be a big piece of shit? Can we all agree that if somebody said that to you, they are a big piece of shit? Somebody said that to me, I'd punch him in the nose. No, I wouldn't. I would just cry about it. No, who are we kidding? This conversation wouldn't be happening in real life, it'd be happening on Twitter, so I would just block that person, and then cry about it. But when I say it to myself, over and over again, when I spend hours of my life screaming at myself inside my own head, trying to discount the gestures of support that hundreds of internet strangers have given me because they don't fit my inner narrative that I'm not valid, I convince myself that I'm doing myself a favor. I'm doing something useful. I'm toughening myself up. I'm peeping that abyss, baby. But it's like German philosopher Freddie Nichols once said, when you peep into that abyss, guess what, dummy? That abyss is peeping back at you. Holla back at your abyss. Do you think I can spend all day insulting myself in my own head for not meeting arbitrary standards of beauty or femininity, womanhood without that bleeding into the way that I look at other people? Should I just create some sort of cognitive dissonance in my brain where I alone have to meet those standards but other people don't have to? I don't get to have it both ways. If I'm going to demand respect and consideration from others, I have to demand it from myself as well. And I can't really give it to other people, at least not unequivocally, if I'm holding space in the back of my head to criticize myself with later. Here's something you might not know if you have a healthy set of emotions. When you've got depressed brain, like I do, sometimes being mean to yourself feels real good. Like, it's bad for me, but let's be bad. It's like junk food. It's momentarily gratifying, but it's unhealthy, and in the long run, it's making my life worse, but I just want it. I want it so bad. The human brain is wired to want to accomplish things, and the best way to accomplish things is to put in effort, meaning to make a temporary sacrifice for a long-term goal. And that made a lot of sense when our brains evolved, because we were just talking apes living in the jungle trying to find berries. But now we're talking apes living in cities filling out spreadsheets, and our brains get confused. Being productive feels bad. I feel bad. Ergo, by the transitive property, I must be being productive. Therefore, by making myself feel bad, I'm a good person, and I'm doing a good job. Now compound that with a neoliberal hellscape gradually taking away every ounce of economic security my generation ever could have hoped to have, meaning that the overwhelming majority of us will never get to own our own homes, retire, or raise a family. And suddenly, it starts to be the only thing you feel good about. Look man, I might not have a good paying job or a nice house or a good credit rating, but at least I'm really mean to myself. So I'm in a dilly of a pickle. It's not like I can just snap my fingers and feel better about myself. Feeling better about myself would require a lot of determination and a lot of focus. And I have a lot of trouble with focus. Sometimes I lose focus in the middle of my, whoa, they're making a tiny little PlayStation! I hope it has my favorite game, Austin Powers Pinball. I hope it has my favorite game, Duke Nukem and the Planet of the Babes. I hope it has my favorite game, Eminem's Shell Shocked. Hey, real quick, while I was researching that joke, I went through the Wikipedia list of all of the PlayStation 1 games, and I found a page called List of Eminem Video Games, and I really have to read to you from their blurb about Eminem's Shell Shocked because it's incredible. Fans of the Eminem series were delighted when it was announced Billy West would be providing the voice of Red. He was quoted as saying, "I am so proud of providing the voice of such an iconic character. I phoned Michael up as soon as I got the news, and he was obviously delighted." Citation needed. Oh, were you excited, Billy West? Legendary voice actor Billy West? Were you excited to play the iconic role of the Red Eminem? Even though you'd been already voicing the Red Eminem for like a decade? I can understand how that would be very exciting for you, Billy West, with your failing career. You've only played such characters as Stimpy, or Fry from Futurama, or fucking Doug. The Red Eminem, it's your big break. And I bet the fans were just delighted by that. Because we live on planet Earth, where there are people who follow the press releases for the Eminem video games to make sure that the right voice actor is providing the voice of their favorite candy mascot. Anyway, what was I talking about? Something about M&Ms? Oh, right. Focus. Losing focus. My whole point is that feeling good about yourself, or at least about the parts of yourself that you would encourage other people to feel good about, is a moral duty. You owe it to not just yourself, but to society at large, to treat yourself with compassion. Because treating yourself with compassion is a necessary and vital component of treating everyone else with compassion. And I'm not saying to feel bad about feeling bad. That would be entirely counterproductive. Don't use anything in this video as an excuse to beat yourself up. All I'm saying is that if you're cruel to yourself, you need to find a way to fix that. And I don't think there's an easy way to do that, because if there were, you would have thought of it already. And anyone who tries to tell you that there's an easy way to fix it doesn't understand the problem as well as you do. But I have one suggestion that I think is pretty important. Find someone you can talk to. Someone safe. Someone you can trust. Multiple people if you can. Your mean brain got you into this situation, and it can't get you out of it alone. Everyone needs the support of their community. Anyone who tells you that they don't is full of shit. Anyone who tells you that you don't does not have your best interests at heart. And that means that I have to let people tell me that I'm valid. I have to let them tell me that until I learn to believe it. And it means that maybe I needed that more than I thought I did. So, thanks. You guys are always telling me to put my cats in the video, so I thought I'd bring in this pillow that kind of looks like a cat. Anyway, I've got a little favor I need from you guys. I've got a Patreon at patreon.com/thoughtsline. Maybe go there, give me some money. No big deal if you don't want to, but maybe you should, because there's a lot of cool rewards and lots of people do it, and it seems like a lot of fun. But we recently reached a new goal on the Patreon, and that means I owe you guys something. I owe you a response to a reactionary, of the community's choice. And you are the community. So, choose, please. I want to hear from you, especially if you're a patron. So let me know in the comments or on Patreon who I should respond to and what claim of theirs you think I would be good at making fun of or whatever I'm going to do. I made a post about it on Patreon, but everybody just said Jordan Peterson, and like, the meat's picked on that bone. I mean, I'll do it, but it sounds pretty fucking miserable. Like, don't make me do Jordan Peterson. But I will. And I don't want to. But I will. What do they mean they're fans of the M&M series? Are they fans of the game? Are they fans of the commercials? Do they just like M&Ms? They're not even good candy. Sorry to tell you this. They're bad. They taste bad. They taste like chalk.